I think it's appropriate to say that this shirt fits this episode perfectly. Welcome to episode 3. You gotta admit that the butter knives were appropriate too. Why? Because this is Cinema Surfer episode 3 and we are talking about X-Men. X marks the spot, guys. This movie episode is full of X-Men movies, so let's get started. So although I've got a ton of X-Men movies to review in this episode, it wasn't the only movie series that I watched. In fact, the first movie I will be talking about isn't X-Men at all, and that is Godzilla. Now, of course, I went into Godzilla with high expectations, and I was let down. Without spoiling the movie at all, you don't get much of Godzilla. All you really get is talking and leading up to Godzilla, and then once you see Godzilla, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I think they did amazing on portraying and showing Godzilla, but they just didn't really show him. The thing they lacked was showing Godzilla off, and that was my big complaint on Godzilla. Not nearly enough fight scenes. We want more Godzilla. We didn't go to a Godzilla movie for all the talking and the leading up to Godzilla. We went to a Godzilla movie for Godzilla. So anyways, I want to give the movie a high 6 out of 10, like a 6.8 or something like that, but I can't because the fight scenes that they did include were absolutely amazing, and so I gave Godzilla a 7 out of 10. The same night I watched Godzilla, my friend and I went home afterwards and we watched In Time. Now, In Time has a really cool premise to it. It's all about time, obviously. No, but seriously, they use time to live, they use time as currency, everything is about time. I mean, that is such a cool premise for a movie. They did not execute this well. I think that there was cheesy acting, just kind of a cheesy story altogether. If they could have gotten a better story for the premise of the movie, then I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But Cillian Murphy is in it, and I really enjoy him as an actor, and he did a good job. It's just the movie wasn't good. I'd have to give In Time a 5 out of 10. It is time to review the X-Men films. Now, just letting you guys know, I'm not reviewing these in order of when they were made. I am reviewing these films in order of when I watched them. So pretty much the only difference is I'm reviewing X-Men First Class first, rather than X-Men first. So X-Men First Class. Gosh, I loved this movie. This is by far my favorite movie in the X-Men series. Well, okay, never mind. I'll get to that. Before I saw X-Men Days of Future Past, this was my favorite X-Men movie. Like, honestly, if I'm to compare the X-Men movies to each other, X-Men First Class is up here, whereas the other X-Men movies are, like, down here. I loved the cast for this movie. James McAvoy is one of my favorite actors. Honestly, I say that a lot, but I do like James McAvoy a lot. Or maybe it's McAvoy, I don't know. Michael Fassbender I'm really going to like, especially from these X-Men movies. In fact, those are the only movies I've seen him in. But he is great as Magneto. I really like him. And then obviously Jennifer Lawrence is in this movie, and you all know how much I love her. She is an amazing actress, and she doesn't disappoint as Mystique in this movie. And it's just really neat to learn the origin story of Magneto and Professor X. I really enjoyed it. And the submarine scene where he lifts the submarine out of the water is probably my favorite part of the movie. I got goosebumps and chills. It was just an amazing movie. I recommend it to all, especially if you're going to go see X-Men Days of Future Past. I'd give this movie a 9.5 out of 10. Next movie I watched was X-Men, the first in the series, and this movie is good. It's just, like I said, it does not really compare to X-Men First Class. Now, I may disappoint a lot of people by saying this, so just please don't get offended, but I don't really care much for the X-Men trilogy. In fact, I like them, but I just think they're all really corny. And maybe that's what I do like about them, is that they are corny, but for some reason they're just not like super rewatchable for me. I could watch X-Men First Class more than I could watch X-Men or X2 or X3, but X-Men, it's a good movie. It was especially nice watching it after watching X-Men First Class because you know the origin and all that, and so it's just cool watching old Magneto and old Xavier. And it was also cool seeing Mystique. I really grew to like her seeing X-Men First Class and this whole trilogy again. I'd give X-Men a 6.5 out of 10. Next is obviously X2. X2 is the same thing as the first one. I enjoyed it, but it's just, I don't see what all the hype about it is. Honestly, this is the universal favorite of this series, but I don't see why. I think that X-Men First Class is a lot better than this movie. And even if you're comparing this movie to the first one, I think they're about the same. Both of them have mutants, obviously. Both of them are action-packed, and both of them are really corny. And so I'd give this one also probably a 6.5. If I had to change it, probably a 7. Because I probably like this one more than the first one. And the next one, the universally hated X-Men, is X-Men The Last Stand. I actually don't hate this movie. In fact, hate is a very strong word. I don't hate this movie at all. But do I like it? Not at all. This movie just wasn't made well. I wish that Bryan Singer would have directed it because we all know that he is very good with the X-Men movies, especially with this new X-Men Days of Future Past movie out. But this movie just, I didn't like it. I didn't like it all that much. If I were to rate the trilogy on how corny they are, this would definitely be number 1. I didn't like it. I didn't really like the actors for the bad mutants. I never really liked the fire guy. What is that guy's name? I don't like him at all. It's this guy. He's such a tool, and I don't like him. I didn't like him from X-Men 2, and I don't like him in X-Men The Last Stand. He's just a tool bag, and I don't like him. In fact, he was probably one of the reasons that I disliked this movie. But you know, it actually is not my least favorite X-Men movie. We'll get to that in a second. I'd give X-Men The Last Stand a 4 out of 10. The next X-Men movie I revisited was X-Men Origins Wolverine. And let me just say that if you've not seen this one, I will be spoiling this one, so click right here to skip to the next movie review. I feel like there are more questions I had after the movie than the questions I had when I went into the movie. Like, what happens to his brother? Why isn't his brother in X-Men Days of Future Past? Or why isn't he with his brother in X-Men Days of Future Past? And why do they cast such an old man for Stryker? That has always bothered me. Even before I saw X-Men Days of Future Past and saw the young Stryker, why did they cast such an old guy as Stryker? And I know that the guy they used for Stryker in this film is younger than Brian Cox, the one that's in X2, but still, he looks old. He has like gray hair. They should have used a young actor like they did in X-Men Days of Future Past. Would have made a whole lot more sense. And I'm also not the biggest fan of Ryan Reynolds, and so when I saw him as Deadpool, I wasn't very happy. Although I hate the character Sabretooth/Victor, I think that they chose a really good person to play him because they actually do look alike. But Sabretooth's killing rampage was just, it got annoying after a while, and I didn't really see the point of it. I'd give X-Men Origins Wolverine a 3.5 out of 10. And my favorite X-Men movie of the whole entire series, which recently just came out, is X-Men Days of Future Past. This movie is absolutely amazing. I also really like this poster for it. But let me just say, you guys will love this movie, especially all you fans of the past movies. If you've seen the last X-Men movies, all the ones before X-Men Days of Future Past, you will love this movie so much more than you will if you have not seen the past movies. So my recommendation, if you've not seen the past movies and you want to see the new movie, watch the past movies, then watch the new movie because you will appreciate it so much more, and let me just say, it will make a lot more sense. Definitely go check it out. I've already seen it twice in the theaters, and I'm planning on seeing it a third time. It's kind of obvious what I give this movie, guys. Easy 10 out of 10 stars. This movie was just so amazing, and it's my new favorite X-Men of all the X-Men movies that have come out. I haven't seen Wolverine, but I don't think it will beat X-Men Days of Future Past. This next movie I will be talking about is a movie that I do not really enjoy at all. And it's actually enjoyed by the majority of critics. I mean, it has a 70 Metascore, and so I don't know, I just don't like it. I think it's very gross, and that movie is Contagion. The thing I don't like about Contagion is just how gross it is. And to some of you, I bet the movie isn't even all that gross, but I just do not like it. I didn't like it when I saw it in the theaters, and then I didn't like it when I watched it again. But I do kind of like the music in it. I think it's kind of cool. I would give Contagion a 5 out of 10. The next movie I watched was really, really bad, and it's meant to be bad. My friends and I rented this from Redbox because we just wanted to watch a stupid movie, and I still wonder why I let them talk me into seeing this, but the movie is The Dog Who Saved Easter. The sad thing about this movie is that it's a series. There's also The Dog Who Saved Christmas and The Dog Who Saved Halloween. The movie is bad. It sucks. It's not even like it's so bad that it's good. It's just bad. Like, I give it a 1 out of 10. The next movie I watched is one of Disney's greatest movies of all time, and that movie is Peter Pan. Peter Pan is really one of my favorite Disney animated movies. It's not in my top 10, but it's definitely an honorable mention. So in other words, it's in my top 15. It's Disney's classics, and every time I hear the songs and the music in this movie, I just get happy, and I think of Disneyland, and I obviously think of the movie. I feel like with a lot of Disney classics like this movie, you can't give it below a 9, and so I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. The next movie I checked out is the worst movie of this episode. Yes, that's right, Dog Who Saved Easter is not the worst movie. It is definitely this next movie, and my friends and I watched it because we wanted to watch a stupid movie, just like Dog Who Saved Easter. The movie is Rats. And now you guys know what I mean by the stupidest movie of the episode. It's just a stupid movie, and things don't make sense at all. Like the popular girl of the school that runs everything, that she's the student body president, her dad is the principal, and they have this multi-million-dollar mansion that makes no sense, and they're super rich. I mean, you don't get paid that much as a principal. The movie is just dumb. If you win the talent show, you get a scholarship to any college of your choice. Okay, I'm going to Yale, I'm going to Notre Dame, I'm going to Harvard. I mean, like, this is so stupid. I give this movie like a negative 1 out of 10. If I have to rate it a whole number, then a 0.1 out of 10. Not even a 1. And the final movie I watched in this episode was Hook. For what it's worth, here's a picture. There are parts of this movie that I get goosebumps and chills. So that concludes this episode, everyone. I did watch Sleeping Beauty, but I'm gonna review it in the next episode because I will also be reviewing Maleficent. Yeah, I want those two to go together. Remember to like the video, subscribe, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and then subscribe to my other book channel. I'm the Cinema Surfer. Have a cinematastic day.